The first time I fought in Australia, the main event was Luke Rockhold against Michael Bisping. What a fight, what an event. It was actually my first win in the UFC, so I remember it very well. But this story isn't about that. This story is about how Luke Rockhold peed on Joe Riggs. My first UFC fight was in the great state of Maine, and I had just a blast. Great fight, almost won the fight, but lost the decision. So I got it in the horn right away and said, listen, I need to redeem myself. I need to get back in that octagon. When's the soonest I can do it? And they said, Sam, you're amazing. You're probably handsome too. I don't know if they said that, but I like to think they did. We're going to put you over in Australia. We're going to give you a guy named Dylan Andrews, who is fresh off Australia's Ultimate Fighter. Because I was fresh off a fight, I had gained some weight and I needed to diet. I had a good camp, no injuries. Weight was coming down, but I had ballooned up a little bit more than I meant to. So I got over to Australia, which was just a blast. It was me, my wife, 1 or 2 kids. I don't remember how many I had at the time. I think it was just 1. Anyways, we had a blast over there. It was so much fun. The time zone didn't affect me in any way. I got over there and I just kept sleeping at the same time. I'd sleep in the, at night and I'd wake up in the day. When you fight in Australia, you fight at like 11 a.m. so they can show it at the correct time, America's time, over in the States. So the weigh-ins are all moved up too. This is before they switched the weigh-ins from, they were originally done at night, now they're done in the morning. This was done in the morning, which was still 24 hours before the fight. As I was making weight, I got to share the room with Luke Rockhold. It was a lot of fun. It was as much fun as you can have cutting weight. I didn't have a ton to go and he didn't have a ton, so we were both lucid enough to have a conversation. We were telling stories about fighting, and I had fought 1,000 times at the time. He had fought a bunch of times too. So we had some good stories to share. And he told me about this one time he was fighting Joe Riggs. Me and Joe Riggs weren't crazy about each other, but no disrespect to one another, they were just going to fight each other. Something you guys might not know is when you are in a sauna, when you are cutting weight, every now and then you have to pee. Not much, just enough. And when that happens, you have to pee, because if you don't, you have to sweat it out, and that's way worse. So Luke continued his story. He said, I had to pee. I got out of the sauna. I couldn't find the restroom. I couldn't find the toilet anywhere. So I got back in the sauna because you can't lose your sweat. And decision time came. He said, I'm peeing in the steaming rocks. And so he whipped it out, and he pissed in the rocks. Not gonna lie, I have considered doing the same thing before. I never had though. Luke did. He said, I peed in the rocks because I figured it would just evaporate, it would be nothing. He said, that's not what happened. He said, it stunk. It smelled so bad. It steamed up and the room smelled like hot piss. He said, it was so bad I couldn't keep cutting weight in there. So I got out. And as I was leaving to go try and find a different sauna or maybe get into a bathtub, Joe Riggs passed me. He was going to the sauna to cut weight. So not knowing what Luke Rockhold had just done to that sauna, he got in there and he cut weight while steaming himself in Luke Rockhold's piss. Luke said he'd never told Joe Riggs and doesn't know that he ever will tell Joe Riggs, but it happened. And now he kind of laughs about it every time he is in a sauna. I've met Joe Riggs. I know Joe Riggs, and he is a great guy, an incredible fighter, and I'm a big fan of his. I can't bring myself to tell him either because how would you go about doing it? Hey, Joe, remember that time you went to a weight room or a sauna right after your buddy Luke Rockhold? It just wouldn't come out right. So now the same as Luke Rockhold, every time I'm in a sauna and have to pee, I think of that story. I will never pee into the steaming rocks because I know what happens. I expect none of you will ever pee in the steaming rocks because you know what happens. But it could happen. If you ever smell piss while you're in one, you know what did happen. Now I'm fighting May 27th, so this video is just of me working out before my first MMA workout. I'm lifting heavier than I ever had before because I'm fighting at heavyweight and I have to gain some size. Most of the time at this time in camp, I will stop lifting so heavy and I'll just lift repetitively and just conditioning. Now I'm still doing my conditioning. I'm not just lifting, but today's a Wednesday, not that you know what day I'm filming this. Today's a Wednesday and it's just lifting. I had conditioning yesterday and I have it again on Friday. So as you see, I put the weights up. I didn't show you any of my weights, but just assume I did more than everyone else that's ever fought. I have a good time lifting. I love doing it. Now that I'm not in the UFC, I have every excuse and reason to lift as much as I can. I get to lift till failure, and I get to threaten myself with injury now that I don't rely on my body for my income. And in the background, you see me walking. What I tend to do every day is I run for about 2.5 miles, and I walk uphill at a 12% incline at 3 miles per hour for about 1.5 miles. I do that every day of the week. Weekends, I may or may not do it. It kind of depends on how I'm feeling. But I sit there and I just walk and I move and I run. I'm pushing myself. I'm trying to get myself stronger, better conditioned, and ready to never lose again. Scratch that. I am currently ready to never lose again. I'm training myself as hard as I can so I never lose again. I didn't know this was going to be my favorite lift of the day, but upon watching it, my arms and my lats look amazing, so this is my new favorite lift. I enjoy lifting. I'm going to keep lifting as long as I can. Maybe I'll become a Mr. Olympia or something. Bodybuilder. I'll never be big enough or strong enough to be a real heavy lifter like that, but I'm going to lift as heavy as I can for as long as I can. And I'm going to start doing abs. Who knows? Maybe I could become one of those, heavyweight guys that has abs. There's not many of them. There's like Gain and Nogano, and that might be it. Soon to be Smiling Sam Alvey too. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions for me, let me know. I'll do the best I can to answer them. I'll tell you behind the scenes stuff, in front of the scenes stuff about my fights, how to knock people out, anything you want. You let me know. I'm here for you guys. Thank you for watching. Love you guys, and we'll talk again.